Lord, I lift your name on high.
chocolate pretty much always. So I know many of you are giving up Lent this Lent, or giving up chocolate this Lent season. And I wanted to share with you some fun facts about chocolate. And maybe these will be helpful after the season. So how do you get 2 pounds of chocolate home from the store in a hot car? That's right. If you can't eat all your chocolate, it will keep in the freezer. But if you can't eat all your chocolate, it may be a sign of a deeper problem. And last, and this is probably my favorite, if you get melted chocolate all over your hands, you're probably eating it too slowly. As we move into our second week of Lent, I truly hope this time has provided you with a sense of discovery of what is desired from you by God. We are in God's hands, and while I think God's hands are not covered with chocolate, I do believe there are tasty morsels there for us to chew on, so to speak. Let us pray. God, take our lips and speak through them. Take our minds and think through them. Take our hearts and set them on fire with love for you and the world. I ask this in the name of Jesus the Christ. Amen. So chapter 2 of our Lenten book is entitled, We Are Created for Complementarity, for Togetherness, for Family. And the name of the book is In God's Hands, written by Donna. In chapter 2, 2 refers to the book of Genesis, where God created Adam, the earth, the garden, the animals. Yet it is written, it was not good for Adam to be alone. And why was Eve created? To write that none of us could ever be human in isolation and in solitude. We need other human beings to become human. We would not know how to communicate or think or walk. or replicate the species without having others to help us learn these essential components of life. These actions make us congruent with each other, where we have interdependence on the actions of another, or their actions on us. None of us have all the attributes to live in the world. What I lack in many areas, many of you bring those with you. Tutor writes, and I quote, "We are made with an inbuilt insufficiency so that we can know our desperate need of the other, the one who makes up what is lacking in me," unquote. That is why God would say about Adam, "It's not good for him to be alone." As we reflect on this symbiotic relationship, I invite you to ask yourself, what do others bring to you? When you listen to our choir, you hear all the beautiful instruments of voice that come together to make a glorious sound. If all the voices were soprano or bass and everyone sang the same note, the engagement and appreciation for the choir would be much less than it is. All the notes coming together, each in their own voice, complementing the others, provide a gift to all of us, and praise and worship to God. This is an example of human harmony, and I'd like to celebrate that with the sign of our appreciation. Earth's humanness is revealed in critical moments as we come together as one human family. None of us will ever forget September 11, 2001, when there was a global outpouring of support and caring for the United States, and in the United States, for those with friends and family in New York City. That connectedness was also evident after the tragedy at the Pulse nightclub. I went to the Tampa Bay Race game that Friday after the unfortunate incident there, and they were giving away these t-shirts saying, "We are Orlando," in solidarity for those affected. It made my heart smile to see children and adults wearing these shirts, and I just imagined the conversation parents were having with their children regarding the meaning of the shirt's inscription. We are here for and need each other in our delicate network of meaning and togetherness. It's a pity it takes a tragedy for this to be expressed in such a tremendous outpouring of remembrance. Today, our reading from Colossians gives us direction about how we, as Christians, are to live in an interconnected community. We need to clothe ourselves with love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. Indeed, we are called in the one body and need to let the word of Christ dwell in that body, to teach, to advise, to live in gratitude, and to celebrate the name of Jesus and give thanks to God. We have directions from our scripture of how we are to live in the world, clothed in compassion and kindness and humility, meekness, and patience. We are also given more instruction about who we are and who we are to be from Jesus' words to Thomas. And I quote, "The kingdom is inside of you, and it is outside of you. When you come to know yourselves, then you will become known, and you will realize that it is you who are children of the living God. But if you will not know yourselves, you dwell in poverty, and it is you who are that poverty." We are taught who we are. Do we act that way? In our book, Tutu discovers a word, a concept called Ubuntu, which in Africa is the essence of being human. A person with Ubuntu is generous and hospitable and welcoming and affirming. An example of a South African who epitomized this attribute is Nelson Mandela, who after 27 years in prison came back to society preaching forgiveness and reconciliation to his captors. During the 1990s, Ubuntu was adopted as an ideology by post-apartheid South Africa. That included respect for others, helpfulness, community, sharing, caring, trust, and unselfishness. The well-being of the community as a whole was a priority. In some ways, it's difficult to translate this into Western language. What Ubuntu is saying is my humanity is caught up and bound in your humanity, and more. A person is a person through other persons. The individual is defined in terms of those relationships with others in the community. An individual represents people from where he or she comes. Their behavior represents the highest standards and virtues that are in that society. One's actions today are reflections on the past. It has a deep respect for ancestors, and that includes all the attitudes and behaviors necessary for a harmonious life with others and the earth. There is respect with ancestors in the world, beyond death, and with those who will be coming back in the future. Rather than live our lives in view of relationships in our Western world, individualism is a pre-existing condition. We believe we need to be self-sufficient and exist separately and independently from the rest of our community or society. How would our communities be different if we lived according to the highest standards of our lives? How would our lives be different if we ever considered how we affect others around us? Do we represent our ancestors or those who are to come? Do we try to come to resolutions to community concerns using respect and consensus? As Christians, we have the guidance from Christ for community living. We are acting with our Christ. Are we acting with our Christ in all situations? We are in God's hands always. That's what Ubuntu is telling us. We are in God's hands. We're created to inhabit a delicate network of togetherness as humans. We need to recreate our culture so it supports all in community. Here comes my next point. Just as these crocheted blocks are woven together to make this tablecloth, that is what we need to do to be in a supportive community. If we don't do this, we could be a tangled ball of thread on the floor, trying to figure out who we are. So maybe know this and know that we need to do this to come together even more as we traverse this Lent season, even though we may be distracted by our craving for chocolate. May the peace of God be with you.
God is with you.
And also with you.
Lift up your hearts.
We lift up to our God.
Let us give God thanks and praise.
It is right to give God thanks and praise.
God of our Lenten journeys, we put our lives into your hands and trust ourselves to your love and care. Hear us now as we join our voices with the company of heaven and earth in this unending hymn of praise.
Creative, passionate God, you delight to shape the world in beauty and harmony. You invite us to participate in the balance of creation. We grow in wisdom as our experience unfolds. We take good learning out of difficult situations and also find our well-meant endeavors leading to unintended consequences.
Too often we give into temptation that disrupts the joyous and chaotic order of the universe. We cannot undo all our mistakes, but we can turn once more to the living presence of Jesus and find new ways to live and love each other and the earth.
So do not let our hearts be fearful, but let us in silence now acknowledge our sins and failures and seek the forgiveness that restores our peace. Christ's life, ministry, death, and resurrection, we are made able to persist, upright and strong, for our sins, all of them, are forgiven. Amen.
And we remember here at Christ's table when Jesus gathered his family and his friends of choice, people like you and like me for a simple meal. He took the bread, lifted it up, and blessed it, and said, "Take and eat, all of you. This is my body given for you. Whenever you share this, remember me."
In the same way, Jesus took the cup of blessing, the cup of covenant, and lifted it up to heaven and said, "Take, drink. This is my blood. This is my life poured out for you and for the world. As often as you drink this cup, do it in remembrance of me." Renew us, O God, with your Spirit, that we may receive this holy mystery, embracing your abundant gifts and new life. Through Jesus Christ. Amen.
Let us proclaim together the mystery of our faith. Together we are bold to say, by Christ and with Christ and in Christ, in the unity of the Holy Spirit, all honor and glory is yours, Almighty God, now and forever. That's why as you're able and by your Spirit as we sing together the prayer Jesus might.
Amen.
you bring to us this table as sisters and brothers. All are welcome at this altar. No exceptions. For these are the gifts of God for us, the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
Well, church, our worship has ended, but our service is just beginning. And in all